Welcome to the Traffic Leads podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of having Kyle Hebenstreit from the world-renowned Practice Made Perfect. Kyle, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here, Ted.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Kyle, I run into you at all the conferences I pretty much go to nowadays. So tell me, how are things at Practice Made Perfect?
Yeah, you're always a friendly face. I enjoy our conversations.
Thank you.
Uh, things here are great. So we're growing considerably. We've got a handful of new clients onboarding right now for our advertising business as well
Nice.
as our website services business. The
Hmm.
team is growing. We're in new office space. We've got a lot of exciting stuff, done some investments in the business since I came on board,
Hmm.
and excited about what the future has to bring.
Awesome, awesome. Growth is always good, always fun. And you run Practice Made Perfect, but you came in as an entrepreneur in residence from it was a venture capital firm. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, private equity, but that's kind of splitting hairs. Yes, so I was with a private equity firm called Next Gen Growth Partners prior to coming on board at PMP.
Hmm.
I, along with my partners, acquired PMP in early 2022, and since
Yep.
then I've been operating as a CEO of the business, focused
Nice.
on growing it sustainably over the long term. But
Hmm.
PMP predates me by
Yeah.
many years and was actually founded by John Morgan of Morgan and Morgan in the early 2000s and really evolved into being an advertising agency for personal injury firms around 2007. And then as Morgan and Morgan was growing and moving into markets where PMP clients operated, that created some friction. And for a variety of other reasons, John and his partner sought to sell the business. And I believe strongly in PMP as a business and
Mhm.
also this space of consumer law firms and most specifically plaintiffs personal injury law firms and
Mhm.
think that there's a lot of opportunity to build a world-class business, and that's what we aim to do.
Nice. And that makes sense. And you guys have done that clearly. You keep running. I see more and more of your sites every day and know the success you're having there. And
Yeah.
do you guys still service do the account for John Morgan?
No, and in fact, we never really did. Well, a long time ago, there were services offered, but for the recent history and then some, it's largely been done by his in-house marketing department. And I, in fact, have very little sort of relationship with John, other than
Gotcha.
transitioning into the business.
Oh, that's cool. And when you say partners, how many other partners did you go in on with?
I'm primarily backed by one private equity firm who's the
Yep.
majority owner of PMP. There are a couple of co-investors who I identified who have strategic value to bring to the growth of the business, whether
Mhm.
it's their functional area in law firm websites or as plaintiffs' personal injury attorneys or former plaintiffs' personal injury attorneys or judges and things of that nature, or advertising agency executives. So people who can offer sort of strategic guidance as more or less a board of advisors are also invested in the business alongside the private equity firm.
Gotcha. Gotcha. But you're running the ship, it sounds like, Kyle.
I am running the ship. Yes, I
Yeah.
am CEO and principal of the business.
Nice, nice. So one thing I know that makes you guys different is you have your two different arms of your company. So you have the advertising services and website services. Am I saying it correctly?
Yep, that's right.
So how do you break those two out, and how do you service clients differently in both arms?
Definitely. So, sort of conceptually and academically, I think of media as being broken out into three areas, actually. It's paid media, owned media, and earned media.
Hmm.
Earned media would be like PR, which is something that we don't currently offer. Paid media is we are stewards of our clients' advertising dollars, and
Hmm.
we build marketing strategies that are cross-platform for their business's objectives in their local markets based on sort of competitive dynamics in those markets, budget constraints, and a variety of other factors. And then we are stewards of those marketing investment dollars across those platforms for the period that we're partners, all with the intention of driving more cases to our clients' firms. So it's really management of paid advertising dollars. And then owned media is website services. So that's the owned and operated properties that our
Hmm.
clients possess, whether it's a website or a social media account. It would be like organic posting on social media versus paid advertising on social media, which would fall under our advertising services side. And the lion's share of what we do there is building and maintaining websites for our clients, doing
Hmm.
content writing on site that's SEO enriched, as well as doing technical SEO and other related services.
Gotcha.
The reason why we split it out that way, other than kind of that academic framework is we've got different sort of commercial models of how
Hmm.
we charge our clients for our services.
Hmm.
Currently, we operate on a commission-based fee, kind of like a traditional agency model
Hmm.
on our advertising services side. And then we construct tiers of flat monthly recurring fees on our website services side.
Gotcha.
Um, our client success team, though, manages both. So if
Mhm.
you're a client of PMP and we manage your website and do your advertising for you, it's one point of contact who we
Yep.
position as being really like the outsourced chief marketing officer. And
Hmm.
they represent PMP externally to our clients. And then internally, they reflect our clients to ensure all the internal operations team, whether it's media buyers, PPC campaign management folks, or content writers or technical SEO folks or developers or designers, ensure that they're doing the work required of us to deliver against the promises we set to our clients.
So those account managers or outsourced executives for your
Mhm.
firms, they must be really knowledgeable because they're touching on both sides of the business, it sounds like.
Yes, they're not just like glorified communication channels.
Yep.
Anybody who's on our client success team has either a background in media planning, media buying, marketing strategy, something of that nature, because they need to be accountable for the marketing strategies that we put in place for our clients, like working.
Hmm.
And they need to be able to riff with our clients and advise on our clients and sort of shift on a dime depending on what we're seeing in the market. So
Hmm.
they're much more sort of like strategic advisors than sort of conduits of communication to our internal teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Fair. And talking about shifts in the market, in the PI space in particular, I know you guys work with a ton of PI sites. What are you guys seeing kind of happening now or coming down the pipeline now or in the next few years now?
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about this internally, actually, and certain what I call macro trends that are shaping like what we do and how we should best serve our clients. One is increasing amounts of competition. So 2010, there were a high number of law firms, but fewer who were actually advertising. Those that were doing a good job at advertising became very successful, and I think that success bred more competition. So we're seeing more firms enter our clients' markets, which is driving up the cost to advertise in many respects because the number of cases to manage in a given market is, for all intents and purposes, somewhat fixed, but the people going after those cases is growing, and the money chasing those cases from an advertising perspective is also increasing. So that's one thing that we think a lot about. I also think about platform proliferation. So similarly, in 2010,
Hmm.
I'm generalizing, but if you were on TV, you could be on broadcast TV, and there was a lot of low-hanging fruit to generate cases that way. Now you have many more platforms. You've got a decline in viewership on broadcast TV. So what might have been sort of like one ad buy on one platform is distributed across a variety of different platforms that sort of serve a different purpose in the marketing funnel to
Hmm.
influence people's behaviors to hire our clients. So that makes things a little bit more challenging, but also allows opportunity for people who really know what they're doing to take advantage of those shifts. And the third one we talk a lot about is just the influx of institutional capital.
Hmm.
Um, so
Is that
due to
everywhere, or is that I know that's big in the states where they no longer require law firm ESQ ownership?
Sure. Yeah. So, predominantly it's Arizona
Yeah.
that has sort of this ABS model, alternative business structure that allows non-lawyer ownership of law firms. What you see is institutional capital in the form of like private equity or hedge funds or whatever the case may be, can partner with a law firm based in Arizona and then co-counsel with law firms across the country. And
Ah.
we see a lot of brands that are forming that have ties to institutional capital through that sort of clever sourcing of financing. And what that means is you're having a lot more more large players and regional players. And so, we're seeing that it's not as dramatic of a shift right now
Hmm.
as you see it in mass torts.
Yep.
And I don't know what the future holds for that legislation or sort of that dynamic in the industry, but I do believe that forces are requiring law firm owners to be more effective business operators,
Yep.
and they are allowing for interesting exit opportunities for successful law firms as well. So it's driving a significant amount of marketing, but even from the operating side, it's placing certain pressures on people to be shrewd operators.
Nice. So More competition, more channels by which one should and can and should market, as well as
Mhm,
more money coming in. So that's a
mhm,
lot of challenges if you're an attorney here in this facing, kind of a little bit scary. What can
mhm.
you do to hedge against those changes coming?
Certainly. I mean, I think you really have to be clear on like what you want out of your law firm.
Hmm.
Not everybody wants to be a Morgan and Morgan or a large national or even a large regional law firm. Some folks just sort of want more or less like a lifestyle business to be part of their community and serve clients in their community. And the overhead you need to run a law firm like that is not nearly as significant as one that's looking to grow and sort of dominate a market or multiple markets. Similarly, if you want to be sort of the leader in this space, you should be thinking strategically about how to build your practice that way. So I think first things first is like what business slash law firm do you want to run? Be true to that sort of North Star vision of your law firm and then execute against that. But
Hmm.
ultimately, like as with the case in sort of any industry, you need to be really thoughtful about your future facing planning. You need to work back from that in terms of the investments that you make today, whether it's staff, technology, et cetera. You need to really be focused on process design and
Hmm.
process improvement so you can run your business more efficiently. You should work with smart people
Hmm.
who think about things a little bit more holistically
Hmm.
and maybe challenge assumptions. And you have to be always on and really focused and obsessed with growing and operating your business.
Hmm.
Every industry has significant disruptions or trends that sort of change the shape of it. You just need to be ultimately sort of aware of those and responsive to those trends. So there's no silver bullet
Yeah,
to
yeah.
respond to them, but being sort of curious and action oriented is these are qualities that are going to help any business operator entrepreneur succeed.
Awesome, awesome. And what are we seeing in the advertising space in particular? I know you said the more and more channels. Are there any particular channels that are hot right now that listeners might not have considered in the past, but that you're liking today for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, social media is one that's not necessarily novel or new. I think how you use social media from a paid advertising standpoint is important. Actually, how you use it from an owned media standpoint or organic posting standpoint is also an area of opportunity for folks.
Hmm.
You can view it as simply just sort of digital billboards, which helps with brand awareness, and it's still very cost efficient for that. But I think the people who are doing it well are having really nuanced creative strategies and targeting and retargeting strategies to sort of create more of a funnel effect to not just feed brand awareness but also drive consideration and ultimately conversion. And you
Hmm.
need to have a really robust content strategy and smart campaign to do that effectively. So that's
Hmm.
one area where I see a little bit of differentiation of firms who are doing it well from those who aren't.
Hmm.
From like an own media, social media standpoint, like people who are building their own brands and personalities on platforms like TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, I think get a lot of mileage out of it. It's difficult
Hmm.
to calculate ROI because the investment is more time than it is money.
Yep.
But certainly a resource constrained law firm who's looking to grow and has the wherewithal and frankly the personality to create that type of social media presence is going to see some dividends there.
Hmm.
Outside of that, the typical things you hear about at conferences is sort of decline of linear TV and different user behaviors or consumption habits on TV, time shifted versus live events and things of that nature, and how you might buy TV spots. Also, Reddit is an area that we're currently
Yeah.
exploring for more organic posting for
Hmm.
practice area specific campaigns for plaintiffs firms. So that's an area where we're seeing some interesting movement as well. And then there's some clever sort of fun ad platforms that pop up here and there that
Yeah.
we like to explore as sort of one-off to test with our clients.
Yeah. I'm seeing more and more Reddit showing up in the SERPs for a lot more frequently. So I
Yeah.
guess being able to tap into that for a firm can be especially powerful.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. Uh, on the marketing side, I know you do the SEO. You talked about content a little bit there. How important is content for firms? Is it still vital, less important? And is AI, are you seeing a rise in content because of AI, or What's the quality like nowadays? Is it diminished because of that or not really?
So, in terms of AI as a tool to leverage in the content writing process, we certainly use AI tools to augment what our team does. Our content writers are all in-house and here in
Nice.
our office here in West Palm Beach.
Hmm.
And we always have human intervention involved. And so, whether it's ideation of topics, we might leverage AI for that. Once we have approved topics with our clients and we're doing the research, typically, that's going to be a human who's doing that research. And the writing, we'll leverage AI to sort of accelerate our writing, but there's always human intervention on the editing process.
Hmm.
And then, in some instances where we're creating blog summaries and such, we might be using AI to help with those blog summaries to just sort of shave down time. But there's still a fair amount of human intervention involved.
Hmm.
Reality is, it's like depending on the practice areas you're covering, there's nuances in each state, things that certain bar associations deem acceptable versus not, and just certain personal preferences of how clients want things to be represented in their blogs. If you just let AI run with it, I think you're going to disappoint your clients and frustrate them. You need to
Yeah.
have more thought than that goes into it. Now, AI as a function of affecting search in general, where does that leave us? Is I don't know. It's a little bit of an open item right now.
Hmm.
AI overviews are obviously, excuse me, Google AI overviews on Google are pulling from content elsewhere across the internet. Someone might get the information they're looking for from the search results and not actually click through to the law firm website page, which puts a barrier up to a potential conversion. But the reality is, a lot of people might be going to a law firm's website historically to consume information and not necessarily take action at that point or even in the future. So I wonder if, and we're seeing, we're looking at traffic and conversions across our clients to sort of dissect what trends are actually occurring. But what we're seeing is where there are traffic declines, conversions are actually not falling.
Hmm.
So what we hypothesize is that people who would otherwise be going to that site, reading a blog, not converting, they're consuming the content in a Google AI overview versus those who are clicking through to actually get in touch with the firm and take action are
Hmm.
still needing to do that. And so it creates a unique sort of wrinkle in
Yep.
what we knew the process to be. But search has always evolved, and we stay keen to understand what's driving these things and looking at cross market sort of performance and to try to get smart on what we think is actually happening so we can adjust our services accordingly for our clients.
Nice, nice. So Kyle, when you start, it sounds like, so with all the new channels and all the money pouring in, if you're a lawyer listening to this and you want to figure out, well, shoot, what channels do I pour money into? I think the first question they ask is, how much money do I pour into? So what do you advise for clients? What percent of income, or do you have a metric or rubric that you might use to clients to suggest they spend X dollars in different channels? And what could be the first few channels they touch into?
Sure. So what we talk about is, again, referring back to what type of firm do you want to be? Do you want to
Yep.
be aggressively growing versus not? If you want to be aggressively growing, you're going to be closer to 15%, maybe 20% of revenue is kind of where we see our clients and where we would advise our clients to be.
Hmm.
Down from there, 5 to 10 being kind of a sweet spot
Hmm.
of like a moderately growing firm is a good way to think about it.
Yep.
That's what we advise our clients. But again, it depends on where you are sort of in your growth journey.
Hmm.
And then we also think about, media platforms in two kind of categories. There's, brand media and then performance media. So brand is going to be more like top of funnel awareness.
Hmm.
Performance is going to be more like driving actual conversions and leads. Your distribution of your budget, which should be more in brand versus performance, depends on a couple key factors. And things like time and market.
Hmm.
If you are in market for a longer time and your
Hmm.
brand equity has been built up, you still need some brand recency benefits. So you need to be continuing to brand, but you might be wanting to dedicate more of your budget to performance tactics so you can drive more cost efficient cases versus
Hmm.
if you're a new firm starting out and you're really committed to your marketing and you're going to be doing it for the next 3, 5, 10 plus years, you're going to be wanting to invest in your brand. So you build that equity over time. And so a disproportionate amount of your budget would go into brand marketing in the
Nice.
early years versus performance-based marketing. So those are some of the things that we think about in terms of channels, like the sort of cost to enter for linear TV or even billboards or radio is, a certain amount or a threshold that's beyond what your, small law firm can justify. So we
Yep.
typically are advising starting out with, local services ads, a moderate pay-per-click budget, depending on the competitive dynamics in that market.
Hmm.
And then paid social media, you get a lot of juice there with your budget in terms of building a brand, and you can be really targeted geographically or
Hmm.
some other audience segments to get your dollars to go farther there and build the brand and also drive potentially conversions in that platform. So if you're kind of looking for a starter package, it's like you need a good website that has really good hygiene and good content on it. And you should probably be focused a little bit on paid advertising on some digital platforms that fit within your budget constraints, and try to do it in a really smart way in terms of how you draft the creative,
Hmm.
how you define the targeting, things of that nature. Again, so you're getting as much out of each dollar invested as possible.
And Kyle, if they're looking for someone to help them do it in a smart way, where can they go?
They could go to PMP, which is short for Practice Made Perfect. Thank you, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can get in touch with us. Our website is pmpmg.com, like pmpmarketinggroup.com. Or they can email me directly. My name is Kyle. My email address is kyle@pmpmg.com. And, our team would love to be of service to you if anybody out there thinks we could help.
Awesome. Kyle, and I gotta say, I know you guys do amazing work, so definitely check out Kyle and pmpmg.com. I'll put the links in the show notes. And Kyle, it was a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great. It's good talking to you again, Ted.
All right, look forward to chatting next time. Thank you,
Yep.
Kyle.
Bye.